Hello to everyone. This is a very important video because this helps and builds a lot of traders. What I want to do here is take all my knowledge and share it with you guys. The best way of understanding trading is by seeing it in a different perspective. When we talk about trading as a concept, you start thinking about a job, you start thinking about a way of making money. Trading is way deeper than that. And I want to make clear here, want it to be very clear to each one of you that when I say it's deeper than that, I'm not telling you that you should be using what I'm going to say as a strategy. It's different. What I'm going to say here can be used as a strategy in the correct way, but can go very wrong if you use it in the wrong way. We all know about these stages of the market, all right? Uptrend, right? We also have downtrend, right? There are actually a lot. We have accumulation, right? You can call it anything you want, distribution, regardless, right? It's the same thing. And we also have the famous ones that are an all-time highs, and as well we have an all-time low. These are very important, and when you are a trader and when you trade, you always encounter these moments and these things, and you wonder why this happens. There is a very deep reason between every single movement when you see the market, and it all involves liquidity, it all involves money. We all know that basically trading itself evolves around money. And if you want to understand this better, you must understand how life works, right? The first thing is we all have these stages in our life. We all have uptrends, downtrends, accumulations, all-time highs, and all-time lows. And I'm going to explain to you each one of them and how you encounter yourself in this situation and how you can also use that knowledge to understand the market sentiments. There is a reason why the market moves like life, because it's traded by humans. Remember that trading will mimic life because it's being traded by humans. Let's talk about uptrends. In life, we all have uptrends. What are uptrends? Are those moments where things are going well, right? When things start going in the way you expected, those times when you have everything you need, not everything you want, but everything you need. There's a difference between that, what you want and what you need. Is in that time in your life where you see progress. Regardless of the size of the progress, you see progress. These are famous uptrends. And then you need to ask and wonder to yourself, why do I see progress in my life? It is always tied to something. Number one, maybe you accepted something. Let's say you're living in a very bad town and you don't like it because of different reasons. But then you accept it. When you accept that, you accept your reality, you start feeling happier because now you're not worried about it anymore. It doesn't bother you anymore and you feel good. That is one of the reasons. Second reason is because you took action. That is the second reason. You took action. You did something that you know you should have done a long time ago and you only decided to do it right now. And when you do it, you see this uptrend, this moment where in your life you start seeing good results because you're doing that thing. Even if that thing is not working, the fact of doing that will always give you that uptrend regardless. Keep that in mind. Even if you are not succeeding, the fact of you doing that, the thing you are supposed to do, it gives you that uptrend. So let's go to the next topic and I'll come back to this. And now we're going to talk about downtrends. Downtrend as well will happen in each one of us in our lives. how it feels to live in a downtrend. A downtrend is not specifically chaos, all right? Downtrend might be that time where you decide to step back. You decide to take things easier, right? You're not as aggressive as you are about what you are doing. It's that time where you decide to go back and reflect about the things you've been doing. But also, yes, downtrend can be the fact that you are losing things, the fact that you are not as strong as you were before, the fact that you are letting people or things destroy your happiness, destroy your life. And this is not just random things, I'm telling you. This will help you in the market as well. So, downtrends will happen because of that, because you've been defeated by what you are doing. Two, because you've been thinking and taking steps back, right? That is one of the biggest reasons why we will be seeing downtrends in our lives. There are plenty, but those are the most important. And now we're going to talk about accumulation. Accumulation, again, is exactly the same thing. You are playing a game with yourself, or simply life is not allowing you to do something. We all know that in a range, we can identify some type of ceiling, all right? It's never like a perfect spot, all right? I draw it perfectly. It's never a perfect spot like this point. We know that the market will fail. No, it's actually an area. I always mark it as an area. We know that this area here, the market is failing. It might fail in this line. It might fail in here, or it might fail after breaking a little bit above this line. And we always have a ceiling and a floor. It's never just a ceiling, just like a house. And what happens is that this is the place in your life where when you always do the same mistake. Here as well, when you get in this part of your life, you always do the same mistake. That's why some people remain poor forever, some people remain sad forever, some people remain lonely forever, some people remain bad people forever in general, because you have that ceiling and that floor. Or you're going to be a good person and do what you're supposed to do, or you're going to be a bad person and not do what you're supposed to do, all right? Or you are deciding to go and accept something you are trying not to accept, or you're going to step back and rethink about what you've been doing. Remember that what I'm telling you here are the two possibilities that exist in the uptrend in your life and the downtrend, all right? And this is what happens. That ceiling and that floor is the main point, is the only place where you will decide exactly what to do. It's here that you will decide if you're gonna go down there and hit rock bottom, or up here you're gonna decide if you're gonna go up there and be at the top. And if you don't figure it out, if you don't figure out what to do in this area, you will always have the same problem. You will always miss in that same area. And the thing is, eventually, one of the sides will win. Regardless, please keep this in mind. If you take very long time on deciding where to go, one of the sides will win regardless of your action, right? Let me give you an example. If you start taking bad decisions right now, over the last 10 years, you start taking bad decisions, you will not start living the worst life ever just because you decided one thing in the same day, all right? Yes, sometimes it might happen, but most of the time, you take a lot of bad decisions to end up with one bad result. It's very rare to take one decision and kill everything in your life. But what happens here is that when you refuse to break above or below this ceiling, your decisions will decide at the end. Your own decisions will say, okay, according to what you have been doing, you must break above this ceiling. Or according to what you've been doing, you must break below this floor. Because you refused to decide your side, and then your decisions will decide it for yourself. Meaning that this is a very dangerous place if you're in here. This is a very dangerous place. Unless you decide, you will end up going in one of the direction you didn't even choose to be, and you're gonna regret it, right? It's better to be a homeless man who gave up on everything and he decided to be a homeless man than being a homeless man when you never desired, you never thought about it. All right. If you right now quit everything, you give everything up and you decide to go to the streets, you are happier than that man who was so lazy that he lost everything and he ended up in the streets without wanting it. You are better because you at least knew. You decided if you're going to go to the top or to the bottom, right? So do not let your decisions decide for you unless you're taking decision to have that result you expect, all right? So this is a very important part of your life. That's why I'm talking a lot of things about this. When you get to this area, recognize it, all right? Let's say you are an addict in smoking and you want to stop. When you get to that party, when you get to that house with your friend, when you do that thing, this is the famous area where failure is. And if you keep on doing the same thing here, the result will be the same, right? Down here, you smoke. Up here, you try to stop. When you get here, you fall again, you smoke. Then you stop again. Then you get here, you smoke again. You get there, you smoke again. Same thing for anything. Let's say you are a gambler. Down here, you're gambling, and then you stop gambling. You get to that same ceiling. You gamble again, you gamble again. And then you stop gambling for some time. You get there, you do the same thing again and again. Eventually, if you don't decide what to do, if you don't recognize the top and the bottom, and decide to do something about it, eventually your decision will say, all right, he's been gambling and stopping. Let's go to the bottom. Let's go to the streets. That is where you want to be. Is how it happens. And if you do the opposite, you keep on failing, and then your decision makes it in a way that you end up winning because your decisions will be the reason why you be there. Even though he keeps on gambling, he tries his best always, and he only gambles when he is literally in a whole different amount of pressure than any human would have done the same thing, right? And your decisions will end up choosing. But let me tell you something, most of the times when your decision decides for you, you end up in a bad position. Rarely you will see somebody doing the wrong things or just doing random things in his life and end up with a good result. That is very, very unlikely. So do not let your random decisions get a result for you, because it will mostly be bad. And now we're going to talk about all-time highs. All-time highs, we all have that. And it's simply a point of your life that you've never been. A good point of your life that you've never been. This means that maybe it's the best relationship you ever had in your life. And it's your all-time highs. Maybe it's the best money you ever made in your life. It's your all-time high. Maybe it's the best house you ever bought. All-time high. Maybe it's the best party you ever had in your whole life. Is also an all-time highs, right? That means that you are in a place you've never been and you're loving to be there, and you would like to stay there forever, right? And it's possible to stay there and go even higher. We always know about that. But then I will show exactly to you how all this work together. You cannot have one without having the other. And when you get this high, 90% of the time is because you decided to take action and you didn't let your decisions win you. All-time highs is that point where you break above that big failure area. You get to that failure area, you break it, and you go to a place you've never even been before. And now, obviously, all-time lows, the exact same thing. This is a place so bad, below everything you have been before, meaning that you've never been lower than that. You never felt worse than that, right? And this is that part where most of the time, not always, most of the times, your decisions decided for you where your result will be. But it was random decisions, not exactly decisions you've chosen, like I want to do this so I can get that. Those random decisions you do, like, oh, today I should work on that project, but guess what? I'm not working. I'm not tired. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not worried. I don't have a lot of things to do. It's just random. I just don't want to do it. Those type of decisions, They are those random decisions that get you there most of the time. But sometimes you decide to be there, right? Remember the example I gave you. There are people right now that abandon their house, abandon everything, their job, and they go to the streets. They live there, all right? They've decided to do that, all right? You cannot say that he was shocked to be there. No, he genuinely wanted that. He genuinely expected that. And he might even be happier than you because he's in a position at least he wanted to be. So is that why they say winning is actually being where you wanted to be? Because a homeless man who decided to abandon everything and live in the streets, no taxes, no worries, no rent, no bills, no gas, no nothing. He might be happier than a dude who needs to work every day and secure money to make sure he doesn't go in the streets. He doesn't live in the streets, all right? That's why they say actual success is being exactly where you want it to be, regardless if it's good or bad, all right? And now I'm gonna show it to you exactly how they all work together. So I have them all in the same place because I want to show you how they all work together. We have here an uptrend, and then we connect it immediately with this downtrend, all right? But this downtrend can also be connected with this accumulation. And this accumulation can also be connected with these all-time highs. And these all-time highs can also be connected with these all-time lows. All right? Beautiful. So this is a story. The market is literally telling you a story of what happened and why it happened. And you start seeing a lot of things people talk about, like heads and shoulders. Yes, all of that is a story that the market is telling you. Let's start from the beginning. The market was here, and then, let me do it like this. The sentiment was good of going up. You decided to accept something, or you decided to simply do something, take action to get something, and you did. But after that, after doing that, you stepped back. Maybe to rethink your decisions, or maybe because you've done something wrong that made you go back. And then we go to the accumulation. This is the place where you keep repeating the same things. You are uncertain of what to do. All right, you keep repeating them again and again and again. And as you keep repeating this, your actions, your decisions, you said, you know what, I am deciding to do this and that in order to go up. Your decision will get you up to a place you've never been before. And it's always, a lot of the time, after this back and forth that you get to a place you've never been before. Let me go back again, because it's not the only reason. Sometimes it's not even a decision you genuinely created, but the result of what you're doing ended up getting you to an all-time high. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are not trying to be a football player, but you genuinely love playing football, and you decide to wake up every day in the morning and play football with your friends. No interest, not trying to be the best footballer in the world. I'm not trying to overtake no one. I just love this sport. You play so good, so well, that one day a team wants you to play for them. And you say, guess what? I love football. I might just go and play as well for them. And then you become the greatest, make millions, all-time highs. You genuinely didn't sit down and strategize how are you going to get there. That was just your decisions that you randomly took, all right? Just want to play, just want to be there, just want to do this randomly for no reason. I just want to do it. I like it. There is no deeper reason than liking it. And you end up in all-time highs. But then when you get to that all-time highs, it's very possible, and it happens a lot, that because of what you've done or because of something that happened, you go back to that all-time lows, meaning that you were below even where you started. You were lower than where you started. And now let's do another combination which is extremely likely. Accumulation is one of the most important part of the market, and this example will show it to you. Why I changed the story? Because most of the times, this is generally how a market moves. We first see the big win. And most of the time, we will not fail after the big win, straight up. We will start seeing signs of failure. We start going back and forth. Are we going to stay in this winning season or no? You don't know. Are we going to stay or go lower? Are we going to stay or go lower? Are we going to stay or go lower? And eventually, life itself will decide for you and will say, guess what? We are going lower. And you're going to go lower. After some type of conversation, some type of inner battle that we all have as humans, you decide where your direction will be. Better than what you are right now, or worse, or where you was at the beginning, which is here. We went back to where we started. And then it happens again when you are at the bottom. Should I stay here or should I go up? I think it's better to stay here. No, I think it's better to go up. No, let me stay here. No, let me go up. I'm sorry, someone just came in and I stopped for a moment. So I was saying, am I going to go down? Am I going to go up? Am I going to stay at the bottom? Am I going to go up? You keep repeating this again and again until you decide, or your actions decide for you. Because maybe you genuinely want to get out of the bottom, but you're doing things that will make you stay at the bottom. Maybe you want to genuinely go to the bottom and be the worst of the worst, but because you're doing certain things, it's not possible. You ended up not going there. And then here at the end, you went to the top, right? And even higher than you ever been, the all-time highs. And remember what I told you. Most of the time, they happen after some type of dump and after some type of accumulation. All right, we're going to confirm this with the charts. All right, you cannot just take things I'm saying without seeing if it's actually real. All right, and the market will do this again and again. And then after the all-time highs, it's time to decide once more. Am I going to go down? No. Am I going to go up? Am I going to stay at the top at the all-time highs, or am I going to go down? Am I going to stay at the all-time highs, or am I going to go down? And then you decide to go low, right? And you go lower than you have been before. And the game keeps playing the same way. You're going to keep on doing the same things. Meaning that before any big move in the market, there is first the accumulation. Now, let me give a name to every single move. We first have action. Action is simply the fact that something you've done, something that you decided to do, happened, and the action happened. And this is the conversation. The market is speaking to you and is taking decisions, is talking. What are we going to do? The market is sitting in a table deciding, guys, what is the next move? What is the next step? All right, this is the conversation. And after the conversation, again, the action comes. It might be an inverse action or genuinely the same action. Right? Sorry, didn't want to delete that. So the action steps in. There you go. And then, once again, after the action, we go back to the conversation stage. And once more time, we decide again with the action. Conversation once more, and then action. And the market will keep doing this again and again and again. Now it's time to start seeing some type of charts. I know you love it. I know you like when I start showing the market. This is the part that people hate, but it's genuinely the only part that genuinely make people get where they want to get. You probably see everything, and I'm going to mark every conversation part, every conversation area. We have bigger conversation areas and smaller, and we have a lot of the times a lot of different conversation areas. Here we have action here to this point, and then here we had this conversation which pumped again, and after the conversation we got the action, right? And here we got the conversation, and then we got the action again, conversation, and then action again, conversation down here, action again. And I'm showing you now at the small scale, but I'm going to show it to you in a bigger scale. This is the small scale, harder to see, harder to identify, all right? But now let's go to the bigger scale, right? This was the smaller scale. In the bigger scale, we see the whole of it, how the market went, and this would be the conversation side, right? This was the action, right? This was the conversation again, and this was the action, right? This was the conversation that took a long time actually. This was the action. This is once more, the conversation took very long time, and this was the action. And now, as I speak, you see that a new type of conversation is happening. The market is starting to talk about what will happen next. Here's what is happening. The market is telling you what is happening next. And the only way to know is by joining every time this type of meeting. How do we identify conversation? Easy. Most of the time, the conversation, they always go to the right. Remember that. Conversation is always going to the right, but action is always going up or down. This is how it works. Simple as that. Straight line conversation, up or down action. You can see here, it was a conversation, and I believe this is the most hardest for you to understand. You were like, guys, this was a pump, it was not a conversation. And this was a dump, it was not a conversation. Calm down, I will explain it to you why. If we start talking about conversation, you can see that they all fit in a box, right? I do not want it to be that big, so we're gonna get it smaller. Every single conversation will fit in a box, and this is the most important part. Every single one of them will be fitting in a beautiful box. Right? This one we can extend because we expect it to take longer. We all know that the conversations will always be like this. I do not want to mark this yet. This is what we expect. And if I try, let me delete everything. If now I try to put the actions in the box, like here, this was an action. For me to put this action in the box, I ended up putting a lot of things. You can see that there's a lot of things that are in which were not an action. This was not an action because we didn't go nowhere here, right? Again, if I try to catch another action and put it in a box like this, once more, I ended up covering every single thing, because we cannot compare the action with the move. And then I will show to you something very exciting. Here again, if I cover the action, same thing happens. So look how the market bounces on top of the action. This is beautiful, isn't it? The market is showing to you that what I told you is genuinely true. The market will start bouncing at the top of the action. And the same thing here, after the action, after this action here, the market start bouncing in this level, okay? In and out, in and out, in and out, bouncing at this top, okay? And it keeps repeating this again and again. And as I speak right now, the market is doing the same thing. The market is bouncing here at this line, in and out, in and out. We expect it to keep on doing the same thing. Meaning that these are parts of the market that I cannot hide. I can try to tell you guys that is a lie. There's actually never a conversation season. The market is always going up or down. But I cannot hide this. How am I going to hide this when we can easily see this part of the market? So this is a very important thing. You must understand the language of the market. Now let's talk about this part here that I know that a lot of you are wondering. Why is this a conversation and not an action? A lot of you would prefer to call this a conversation because we've been failing. But I don't call all of it a conversation. Because, remember what I told you, after every pump or dump, after every dump, we will see conversation. After every pump, we will see conversation. How long it will take, that is what we never know actually in trading. It is exactly what makes trading forever exciting. Sometimes a conversation will look like the famous double top or double bottom. We'll go down, conversate, right? And then go back up. Here it will take a little bit longer discussing and then go back down. So what is the difference? The difference is every time we meet the same level, we say what is going to happen here. You're not passing this level. And then we go back up. What happened here is that we dropped and then they said you cannot go below this. We went up, they said you cannot go above this. We went down again and they said you cannot go below this. And then the market tried up and then it was allowed and the market broke even. Here the story was different. It got here, the market was told you cannot go above this level. It went down, same thing, you cannot go below this level. Went up, you cannot go above this level. Went down, you cannot go below this level. It went up again, you cannot go above this level. And then when you get to this level again, they allowed the market to drop. And then when it got to this level once more, they allowed again the market to drop. And the market ended up going lower. And if you go back to study this, where were we? Here. You will see that it's exactly the same thing that happened. This happened after a big dump. All right? After this big dump is when the market dumped like this and then got down here. It failed. Sorry, let me show it to you even clearly. It went down, right? It failed to go below. It got up. It failed. They told him he cannot go above the level. But when he get back here, it was allowed to break below, right? And he broke below. But then it was stopped here. Tried to go up. And then it got to this level. They accepted, yes, you can break above it. You can see that he broke above it, but then failed again, closed here. And then after a lot of ground, he ended up breaking above this level. And now, the reason why this is a conversation is that we still have some type of denials, right? It was denied here, up here, it went down. It was denied again, it ended up winning, and then it dropped again. Now we are back at that same level. So here is where we decide if the market will go below this level or no. And you can see by the dots that there is some type of conversation in this area. After this, what happened is that the market was not allowed to break below this level. It got back to this level and for some reason the market was allowed to break above that level. But once again, we got to that same level, same problem. We dropped immediately. We didn't even do the conversation here. We dropped immediately. But then the conversation happened here again, and then we ended up pumping harder. Then here we had an even bigger conversation here. As you can see, the market kept on failing for such a long time until we end up pumping, right? So there's always a bigger scale of everything and a smaller scale. This was a bigger scale of the conversation and a shorter, meaning that it took a very small time. And this was a bigger one, bigger version, right? So those are the things that as a trader we must know, we must keep in mind always. So now let's go to Forex so that people don't say that I'm only giving them examples of things that they don't use, right? Same thing here. I'm not going to go far, just go below where the market started pumping. We can see the stages of the market clearly. I think I don't even need anymore to do the things that I done. You already recognize, but we're going to do it anyways for people who are not recognizing those stages. Number one, we've got the conversation which happened around this point. The market was denied to break below here. It went back up, denied, went back down, denied, played around here, denied, 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 denied. Got here. It was allowed, it braked above, went down once again to retest, and then boom, the market went up. Once again, tried to go below, denied, pushed again, tried to go below, denied, pushed again, tried to go below, denied a little bit, but then pushed back down, meaning that the action here was smaller. Then tried to go up, denied, tried to go up again, it was denied, but it was some type of action in there, pushed back down, denied down here, pushed back up, pushed back down, denied again, pushed up, down again, denied once more. And then he ended up giving us that action, right? Went down, denied, went up, denied, went down, it was allowed. Here, we didn't even have time for that. Yes, we did in a smaller time frame, right? But we're not gonna go check that. We were allowed immediately and we went up. Same thing happened again and again and again, all right? And then we ended up going higher. And the market will keep repeating this again and again. You can see that here it happened again. And the market ended up deciding. So in every single market season, we will be seeing that same thing. We will be seeing this type of conversation before that move, right? Down here, we had an even bigger conversation. A lot of the times, these type of conversations are very hard to understand because you can see that the bottle was here first, and then we break below, and then the bottle was down here, and then we break the above, and then the bottle was up here, and then we break below, and then again, push back up. So this is what happens sometimes. One more time, guys, this is trading. We are always open to see difficult moments. Here was harder to understand, was not as clear as every example he gave. Same thing here. We had this type of accumulation, this type of bottle here. And then the same thing here as well, right? Same thing happened here as well. Let me do this so we have a clear image of what I'm trying to show to you. So you see how it's easier and clear to see every single conversation, action. Here was a mix of conversations and action, which a lot of the time you will have something ugly like this. But at the end of the day, we got the action, conversation, action, conversation, action. So basically, this was accumulation. All those things were happening that I told you that happened in someone's life. And then their decisions, or just the fact that they are doing things that ended up giving them this pump. We don't always need to have people agreeing that Bitcoin should be going to 100K. Do you think when Bitcoin was at 70K, we sat on a table and we said, guys, let's pump Bitcoin to 100K? No. Maybe it happened, but we don't need to do that. The decision traders are taking, if a lot of traders, for some reason, are deciding that Bitcoin is going to be a good thing and they keep on buying it, the random decisions without any type of conversation, without any type of deeper reason. Maybe people don't want Bitcoin to get to 100K, but what they're doing ends up pushing Bitcoin to 100K, all right? We all know that most of countries, they don't like Bitcoin and they don't want Bitcoin to be a real thing. But the thing is, the things we are doing, traders, the decisions we are taking, unfortunately, is making Bitcoin something real, is making Bitcoin something big. It's the same thing I was telling you guys. This is what is happening in this accumulation. Maybe we are not saying, guys, let's push Bitcoin to 100K, but what we are doing is making Bitcoin go to 100K. And it's always how it works. I'm not going to go deeper, but I was going to talk about how to know if a conversation will lead into a failure or into a break even, all right? Because there's always a difference, guys. Even if you're not noticing, there's always a difference between the accumulation before the market going up. Let me look for a different one, and an accumulation before the market going down, like this one. They are very, very different, all right? And there are things that will give it away and tell you if the market is going lower or below, right? This is very different from this accumulation right here. You can see it's very different from this accumulation and this accumulation and also this accumulation. But if you cannot see the differences here, don't worry. I will myself make a video about this and show to you the differences to recognize better where the market is going. Yes, of course, if there is accumulation here, I'll give you an example. Of course, if there is accumulation here and you go back, because a lot of you now, you don't genuinely suffer with this type of things. There's a lot of accumulation here, you know, but you don't need to genuinely learn accumulation. You just turn this shit on. You just turn the indicator on and you know that the market wants to go up, right? So you guys are trading with some type of cheat code, All right, you don't need to sit down and understand this type of accumulation. We all know it was clear, guys. The market was going to get that liquidity regardless. All right. So the thing is, we all understand that it's important to study this, but then we have a lot of things, the field area telling us to keep on holding this position, and the liquidity telling us that the market is going up, new liquidity here telling us that the market is failing. So you have a lot of information, but I think it's very important to know this. So I hope that now you understand the market than never before, and you finally will start seeing the market in a different perspective, seeing the market like what the market really is. Oh my god, I deleted my indicators. Anyways, you will start seeing the market as it is instead of seeing it in that illusionary world where you see the market as some type of make money thing. The market is way deeper than that.